We're go. So yeah, that's we are live, baby. So I'm Brett and that's Mitchell.
I'm Mitchell. Yeah, this is our very, I don't know, I guess first fucking podcast,
Episode
man.
episode 0.
Episode 0. Wild. So why don't we start by, talking about why we thought that this podcast was a good idea?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, both of us involved in the recovery community and, myself and I know you are as well in recovery ourselves. So um what I've found for myself is, being 3.5 years into this journey, is that going through treatment, being in a residential program, and then um, going to meetings and both in person and virtual, and going to conventions and
All the damn things,
all the things.
everywhere, all the
Um,
time.
there's a lot of tools and a lot of skills and things that I've learned, but it only got me so far. And there's just
There's so much more to the experience of recovery than going to meetings and having a sponsor
right.
and doing all of the feel good shit that kind of just keeps you avoiding dealing with life in a way.
Yeah, and I, I don't want to take anything away because that's not
No.
the point either.
No.
You know, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't
Yeah.
for all of those things. However, had I only had those things to rely on and not had any self-sufficiency or had the ability to teach myself anything else,
Mm-hmm.
I would have failed.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have had any other kind of network or people in my corner or any other, tools or things out there in the real world,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
I would have failed.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean,
And
there's just so much more to it than that. And I think I'm gonna try really hard, guys, to not say and like every 2 seconds, and we're gonna work on it. Okay, it'll get better, I promise.
or it won't.
Yeah, or it won't. I
Like,
mean, but here we are. I
we're
think
just a couple of fuck ups. So
yeah,
like,
that's the reality of it. Trying to do right by a bunch of you who probably consider yourselves the same way. And there's just for me personally, I found that community service was so much more instrumental to me than going to meetings.
100%.
And I
Especially once I got past that early part.
yeah,
Like,
because at first, man, you have to have all those people around you. You have to
yeah,
feel like you're part of
once
something.
once I got my legs underneath me, like, the once the proverbial fog lifted,
Mhm.
and like there was only so many of the same message I could hear
Right.
before I felt like I needed to be doing something more.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't feel right. Like I kept feeling like I was taking, and that didn't feel right for me. I felt like I was a consumer of recovery and not a
An
participant
active
or
participant, sure.
even somebody that was giving back. And it just felt like being an addict in a different way.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, I know a lot of people who, I mean, myself included, when back in 2018, 2019, I was doing a lot of in and out of detox, in and out of psych ward because of my just massive use. And when I was clean, I was living in the first step house in Grand Rapids. I mean, my house was like 4 blocks away, but like I was in there for the 8 a.m. meeting, for the 10 a.m. meeting, for the noon meeting, for the 3 p.m., for the 5 p.m., for the 8 p.m. And I just lived there because I couldn't figure out like how to not drink if I
Yeah.
wasn't sitting if I was sitting in my house.
Yeah.
And that was pre-COVID, but society as a whole wasn't doing much better then than it is now. Let's be real. So it's hard to like not be surrounded by it if that's your crutch and that's what you're looking for. You're gonna
Yeah.
find it. And it was very easy for me personally to just transfer the addiction. Like, okay, now I need to have all these sober people around me instead of all these people who are drinking.
Yeah,
I have to be surrounded by people.
Found your hope dealer.
Yeah, and it didn't help. The end of the day would come and there's no more meetings, and what am I doing? I'm like,
Right.
the liquor store's right there.
And
I'm just gonna drink until I wake up in the morning and feel guilty and
I
go
don't-
back to my meeting.
I don't know about you, but like
Yeah.
I found myself almost getting into like playing that chameleon and role where you know I'd hear these brilliant shares and
Mm,
these people who are 20, 30 years clean, and you hear these great stories and all of this hope and experience, wisdom, hope, and
mhm.
I'd want to be that person. And I got 6 months, 9 months, maybe a year.
Mhm.
I got clean 1/16/21, man. January 21.
Right.
The whole fucking world's locked down and it's the middle of winter.
Mm.
Like I was online only meeting, man. I got clean on the screen. Like fucking
It's really easy to go to a million meetings a day or
yeah,
stay in the meetings all day when you don't even have to like.
but impossible to have any real world experience because
Yeah,
I'm
this is
sitting in
also
the
true.
fucking living room.
Mhm.
Like so I mean, I'm just pretending. I'm playing fucking pretend the whole time. And you know, by the time everything opened up, I had some time.
Sure. But you hadn't like garnered any social
Yes.
skills,
So
sober social skills.
right.
Yeah.
And so it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. Like the thing was though, rewind a little bit. Like I realized while I was in treatment, like I did a month in inpatient, and it occurred to me while I was in there that one of my biggest triggers was money. Like, and I know I'm not the only one because I'm never the only one.
You know how good I am at spending money when I get it.
Speaking of, great sweatshirt,
that
great
hat.
hat.
Yeah. Great
But
shoes. This is actually an Oxford House sweatshirt, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
I'm repping recovery here for
yeah, man.
our first,
Yeah. Yeah. And
real
I'm,
recovery.
not being political at all today.
I mean,
Because
you're gonna vote for whoever you vote for, but you should vote. But you should vote.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, but what I realized was that in my while I was in treatment and while I was um in my program, like I was getting all of the free bonus money from
Sure.
unemployment and stimulus and all of that, and then that ended.
Mm-hmm.
And during my active addiction, my main source of income was bartending and service industry, which varies widely, and
Sure
you
does.
have big paydays. And so those big paydays, guess what? Let's go out. I'm buying. And so like, but it occurred to me that there was never any like money management taught.
Mm.
Never learned how to be intelligent with the money I had, how to plan for the future, because there was never any extra.
Right, because it was hard to fathom there being a future
Well,
to an
right.
extent. You know what I mean? Like people always ask me, they're like, "Well, why didn't you plan for being in your 40s?" Like, man, I didn't think I was gonna live past
No,
27.
no. I always,
I didn't think I was gonna make
yeah.
it to 35.
I
I didn't
always,
think I was gonna make it to 40. And
I,
now I'm 42. What the fuck am I supposed to
yeah.
do?
The 27 club,
401k? What?
the 27 club was always the goal.
I mean,
That was always that was like the goal. All of the famous people that died at 27. Like,
I
that
mean,
was like
think,
the,
yeah,
the
I
crown
mean,
jewel was, to join the likes of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. And like, that was so cool.
I know two or three people who went like that
So
back
do
in the
I.
day to the
So do I. Too
to
many of them.
Troy.
But like, yeah, so there was never any like that was never the plan to be like, oh, I'm gonna retire someday. I'm gonna like
Yeah, it was
get to the point
right,
where I collect
right.
Social Security
I'm
and
gonna
have
drop.
a 401k and
Yeah,
like what? No. So
and now here I am, like a little over 3 years clean, looking at like almost zero savings because children are expensive
yeah,
and you know 401k. I think I found the one from Amway, which would be sweet, but yeah, I'm not gonna retire. I'm gonna work until I die. And it would be nice to not have to work as hard until I die.
right,
But
right. Or at least find something you enjoy doing.
yeah, I mean, it would be nice to find something that I enjoy doing. Um,
But like that I guess is my point. As when I realized that while I was in treatment, it was like, well,
where's the home act for people in treatment?
none of like you're not gonna find that in the big book, the blue book, or any of the other books.
Right.
You're not gonna find like ask any sponsor, they're gonna be like, that's not my job.
Right.
Like that's not what I'm here
Well,
for.
and there's no spiritual book that's gonna teach you how to
And
save
that's
money
fine.
or
That's okay.
yeah.
Because that's not they're right. That's not their job. Like they're not a CPA. They're not a financial advisor. That's not what they're there for.
Sure.
Same as they're not there for medical advice. There's a lot of things that those things are not there for. And that's good. That's an appropriate response from those programs and people. Like, I appreciate that they have those boundaries
Sure.
and draw those lines because they can then focus on the things that they do well and they continue to do them well.
I agree with that, but I think there needs to be. I mean, personally, from a personal standpoint, there should be more of a. There's all this directive of continuing of care for like psychological issues, or getting your doctor with better care, or Medicaid or whatever your state does. It's there's lots of resources that can point you in those directions, but there's no like, hey, this is like a financial advisor that works with people in early recovery.
Right.
Like here's a person in the community that is in recovery who likes to help people with this stuff. There's no list like that, like
Right.
there is with
Well,
doctors and psychiatrists and all that other
even
stuff.
just trying to get on Badger Care in Wisconsin or whatever the
Yeah,
equivalent thing is in whatever
Michigan
state.
Medicaid or
But like,
right.
even that is a pain in the ass for people.
Yeah, and it's a scary process, man. Like,
And that's
I've done it in 2 states.
And that's if you're not in the middle of being fucked up or trying to get
I mean,
like
these are facts.
like that's if you're clear headed.
Mhm.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
That's if you're in your right mind
Mhm.
trying to navigate it. If you're not in your right mind and worried about all of the things and trying to like navigate that
And stay clean for the 5th day in the
or even the
forever.
first,
Yeah. Fine.
like, and had one of your friends just die unexpectedly from an overdose, and like
Yeah.
all of the things start to pile up, it becomes a nightmare.
It does.
And you can't expect to go into a meeting and share for 5-10 minutes, and then listen to 20 other people share and have it fixed. That's
Right.
not what that place is for.
Sure.
Like, yes, you'll feel better getting it off your chest, and that's what it's for.
Hmm.
Yes, telling your sponsor and having them help, like,
Disseminate.
get you
Is
maybe
that what
in
you're looking
touch
for?
with some people and resources and things
Sure.
like that, that'll help. But the fact still remains that there's a lot of shit out in the real world.
Hmm.
And
So I think that being said, one of the things that I would like to do with this kind of community that we're going to try to build here, and then that means you guys out there as well, is like maybe create a Google Docs spread, sheet or a list, like a phone list, or if you know of somebody in your community who's a resource, you could add them to that list so that maybe people who are in your community can seek out some of these um, you know, places that can actually help them. People that, places that aren't on a list and because they don't pay Google to be at the top of the list, they're not there anymore because, I mean, that's a whole different podcast topic to go off on Google AdSense. But anyway, I digress. Um, but we love you, Business Daddy. Uh, I mean, let's be real.
yeah.
It's community driven. I don't know how many people that in my years now being affiliated with Oxford House, where I've gotten a text or a phone call where it's like, where do I even look for this? I mean, nowadays it's on Discord. Somebody asks somebody who's in the Discord community,
Yep.
and then they reach out to me. Somebody who knows me personally is like, hey, what is this resource? But I think that I've always prided myself on being community outreach for anybody really who's struggling. It's to me, giving back in that way, I've found more fulfillment than I have in, like, I don't want to say not participating. I mean, as well as I do, I chair an NA meeting every Thursday, and I'm back to facilitating smart recovery on Saturdays. So, I do meetings too. But you're right. There's so much more to it than that. Like
Yeah.
that's a place for me to give back. That's a place for people who are struggling to like hear my story, maybe get some hope. But like being somebody who can offer resources like is a different field in this,
Yeah.
and I think that that's kind of, I mean, that's what we're going to kind of try to do here is split it up between like maybe how we are figuring out our lives, the two of us, but bringing people in to talk about how they're figuring it out too.
Yep.
Because like everything else in this world, and especially in recovery, it's all about the community and
Yeah.
how the community can help each other.
Yeah. And I mean, it's it's all about I think the biggest thing that you hit on there is community, and it's going to take creative ways of networking, because it's not like there's some well-funded organization that's going to come in and throw billions and billions of dollars at solving a problem
Sure.
that has no real way to monetize, and have an ROI. It's not like
Right.
this is all of a sudden some cash cow that some.
I mean, if you're selling, Bibles to the right people, I guess. But
yeah, I suppose. But
did you see John Oliver's last week tonight? This week?
I haven't yet.
You should go back. This is that would have been John Oliver on Friday, November 1st, 2024, for you guys out there who are
Living in the past.
watching or listening. Yeah, who are living in the past. That's fucking right. Today's a good day to make yesterday. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it's fun. Anyway, what was I talking about?
John Oliver, Bibles.
Well, I mean, yeah, go back and look. You should look. I'll send you the link. For those curious, I'll post it in the Discord. I think this is a good time to say that,
Yeah.
we have a real world recovery mouthful. You can find us on Facebook at Real World Recovery. You can find us on YouTube at Real World Recovery, which
Hopefully
is
you've already found us there.
probably where you're at right now. And then we're starting a Discord community as well, so that will also be at Real World Recovery. Believe it or not, this was not taken. So
Yeah.
that's
For some reason,
that's
this-
lucky for all of us,
Yeah.
really, because I think this has the potential to be a really special community for a lot of people who,
Yeah.
need more than a meeting.
Yeah, and
You know.
I mean, the way this is going to succeed is participation.
Mhm.
What we would really like to see, I think, is questions, um, advice. If you're out there and have been walking a path of recovery and taught yourself something along the way, like, you know, um, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
You
share
know,
it with us,
like
share it with the community.
I'm a firm believer that you know learning is a lifelong thing, and I'm always trying to teach myself new stuff, and I'm fascinated to learn something new um, from anybody, and I think there's something we can learn from everybody, whether they're on day one or day 1 million, and
Yeah.
um,
And you get a few years in, and it feels different. It feels like, I don't know how to describe it. It feels like there's so much that you wish somebody would have mentioned to you, like that you were going to feel a certain way when something certain happened. I mean, and then here's the thing. The more people that have had, experiences that are different from our own, the more we can learn from them and their experiences, so.
what what's if there was one thing for you
Mhm.
that um you had to learn by yourself
Mhm.
that you wish somebody would have told you early on or given you a heads up about, what what would that be for you?
Meditation actually works.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. My grandfather had me meditating when I was in my early 20s. I spent a lot of time learning like shamanic things, and that was very cool, neat experience. But I lost sight of that in my 30s, and especially after he died. But that's kind of a cheesy, half-assed answer, because I mean, lots of people have told me that it works, but you have to find it out for yourself. And it doesn't look the same for everybody. Everybody turns their mind off a little different, so I'm not going to lecture on that. Um, I think that for me personally, it would be the disappointment of various job losses. I didn't The first one, specifically, I wouldn't have thought that it felt as bad as, losing a child. I mean, it's not the same, but it hurt. It more similarly to getting divorce papers, because it was a job I genuinely loved. Um, I definitely did not agree with management, and I disagreed with a lot of their decision making, but I genuinely liked what I was doing. I liked helping people. I needed more help to help these people, and that sucks. But so losing that job like, when I found that out, it felt about the same as when my wife handed me those divorce papers. It was the same kind of loss, and um, nobody prepares you for something like that. It's a different kind of shock especially when you haven't been drinking for years. When you've got over 2 years under your belt, that sort of thing happens. It's like, wow, man. And I wish people would have told me that, like, explain that sort of thing, that sort of losing something you cared about, like, career wise, would feel the same as as any other loss. And then that it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to feel that way. You don't have to just be mad. You can go through all 5 stages of grieving.
Yeah.
All 5, baby. This time around, like, the current job situation, I went from anger to acceptance pretty fucking quickly. It took me about 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll be hitting, yeah, whatever. And it won't matter.
Yeah.
Everything gets better. Everything gets better. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day it definitely gets better. I know it does because it has before. Um, what is one thing that you wish somebody would have told you, or that if you could go back, you'd give yourself a piece of advice besides buy Bitcoin in 2011? Because somebody told me to do that, and I didn't fucking do it.
I
did, but then I spent it on drugs.
I literally in 2013 was sitting having coffee outside on a patio. We were like trying to figure out how to set up a wallet to buy Bitcoin for $1,000. Me and a friend of mine.
It's all right. We would have spent that money anyway.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
But so what besides that?
One piece of advice, if I could send a message back in time to myself when I was in early recovery, it would have, honestly, if I knew without a doubt that the advice would be taken, and like I would follow through with it, it would literally just be to have me start listening to
literally
listening to the Daily Stoic podcast.
#ad
Ryan Holiday. Like, I swear to God, and Ryan, if you ever listen to this, I don't want anything from you. Like, changed my life, man. Like, I swear, like, it's
finish listening to this podcast first, and then go over there.
But I mean, I start my mornings every day. It's like 5-10 minutes most days. Weekends they're longer because he does a deep dive. But I mean, just little nuggets of wisdom to start my day, and it's allowed me to like really like gradually over, like, it's not like all of a sudden I've become a different person because of it, but like bit by bit I've started to like be able to process a little bit different and think a little bit differently, and um I think it's really helped in my recovery be able to have a deeper understanding of the things I've learned in recovery as well, and better use the tools that I've learned and apply them, um which very recently applies with making the decision to do this podcast, which is like listening when these opportunities come up, and understanding that the things that are in my control I will do, and I will feel good about the fact that I've done everything in my power, and I've you know focused on what I have control over, and if I present all of the facts of my case and to the people who can make a decision, I know that their decision I don't have any control over,
Mm-hmm.
and so that the result is not up to me. So if they decide to go a different way, well, that's fine. Like I don't have any control over that. And more importantly, rather than wishing they would have decided something different,
Yeah, really, I just wish I would have saved more money.
but but the thing is, what I'm realizing is that when I get really, really good, when I get to the point of like mastery of this skill,
Mm-hmm.
I won't even be wishing that the results were different. I'll literally be able to look at it and be grateful that it happened that way because I'll know that it was supposed to happen that way. Like
Yeah, I mean that's
I'm like literally everything has happened as it was supposed to. Like that for me is like
so. If I could,
I'm not there yet,
yeah.
but I know that when I get
Right.
like that's what mastery of it will look like for me, and like that just seems like such a blissful, peaceful place to be, where like focusing only on what I can control, which is what I do and
Mhm.
how I respond to it.
Right.
And when I have such mastery of how I respond to it, that I adjust what my expectations are so much so that I'm literally happy about
Yeah,
every
I any outcome. Yeah.
like that.
I mean, we're not getting any younger, you and I.
No.
So like I guess I've gotten myself to the point with like especially with meditating every day where it's like life is too fucking short to fret about every fucking thing all the fucking time. And that's a lot of swearing, but I
Yeah.
mean it's a point of emphasis for me. You know, yelling at someone has never solved anything in my life anyway.
Yeah.
You yell at the kids and they just, either misbehave harder or do it when you're not looking,
Um,
yell at the person, behind the counter and they spit in your food. You don't like
mhm.
being angry and frustrated is such a waste of energy. But if I could go back for a second, so I think if I broke down your and I's two answers, mine would be it's okay to grieve, it's okay to feel, I guess, and then yours would be don't sweat the small stuff. And I think both of our answers were like trust that these things are okay. And I think that for a lot of people who are very early, like I've had somebody who recently, who has been struggling, say, well, what if? I mean, I don't know that that is going to work out. And
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that it was okay to feel these things. I thought, you quit drinking and you quit doing cat and cocaine, and you're just gonna like, it's everything's just gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, yes, but not right away.
Right. And
But it's okay that it doesn't happen
and
overnight
and
because
I mean, guess what? Like
I'm not gonna cry.
people still have shit days.
Yeah,
Like grab a fucking
100%.
helmet. Like sorry, I'm not gonna BS you. Like
Mm-hmm.
it it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Like it doesn't work like that. But at least on top of it being a shit day, I don't have to also like keep hearing, oh, 5 minutes. It'll be 5 minutes
You're right.
while I wait shaking in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, at least I don't have to deal with that. At least it's not like counting my change to see if I can go get a fifth from the liquor store. At least it's not
Waking up at 3 a.m. to
right.
take a shot so that you don't throw up.
Like at least it's not any of that crap as well.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So like there's my my worst day clean
Mhm.
is still so much better.
Yeah.
Like it's and you know, I think that like getting kind of back to like the why of all of this is I see so many people like that over the years I've been pretty open and shared a lot on my social media and a lot of people that honestly like I wasn't sure uh, if they were gonna still be around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I was a lot. Like I was a lot to put up with.
I think many of us were.
And it was surprising to me that the reaction and response that I got from a lot of folks. I think in one word, overwhelmingly, what I felt was relief.
Mm-hmm.
To sum up kind of what I felt from a lot of people. And in addition to that, what I've seen time and time and time again is the courage that people have had to try themselves. And more than anything else, that is an inspiration for me
Mm-hmm.
to want to keep sharing and want to keep being vocal and available and because like I'm sick of seeing people die.
Well, and
I'm sick of
I'm
seeing
sick
people
of people
struggling.
feeling guilty for being relieved.
Yeah,
You know, like you don't have to be guilty. You don't have to feel guilty to be proud that you're in recovery.
yeah,
You know, you don't have to feel guilty about all that stuff you did if you, you know, apologize for it and did right by those people. You don't have to feel, you know, you don't have to feel guilty for feeling okay, you
right.
know, and that's something I think that a lot of people, like especially at the 1 year mark for me, where I felt guilty that I was doing so much better than all of the people who didn't stop when I did,
Yeah,
you know, or people who you went to treatment with who fell off and then
yeah,
whatever, you know, there's so much like it's okay to be doing better. Like
yeah,
but yeah, I think that's what keeps me, you know, being so vocal about it as well, is because there are a lot of people who, you know, are I hate to use the term, but closeted recovery,
yeah,
where, you know, their community doesn't, you know, like their community as in like friend group or like their work circle or whatever, doesn't even know that they ever went and got help with their problem. You know, you see it especially with like the religious people, but you know, that's the kind of um guilt spiral that, can turn it back on you, because we all know the best way to not feel guilty anymore
Yep.
is to not feel anymore.
Yeah. So, what are the next steps, and like, what 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 can folks expect from us going forward?
Well, I mean, I think that we're gonna work diligently at keeping tabs on our socials. You know, please, if you've made it this far into the video on YouTube, give us a like, throw a comment down there, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be in the comments. There's nobody out there yet, so it should be fairly easy to manage. But who knows? You guys could blow us up and make this a full time job. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that either. Um, but I think in the meantime, we would love questions from you guys in the community. We'd love you to start sharing with each other, and we're going to interact as much as we can. And then, I think we're going to take time out of each one of these little sit downs and, go over your questions, maybe talk about what we think about it. Not that our opinion matters, but it's just another bit that you can take away to formulate your own. And then I think that we're gonna be doing this at least once a week,
Yep.
for the time being. Maybe more, maybe less.
Yeah.
Probably not less though. I think we're about guaranteed once a week at this point.
Yep.
I think that we're hopefully going to start doing random YouTube shorts. They're probably going to be less serious generally,
Yep.
at least the ones that I post, because I'm kind of a manic weirdo.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you can expect us to keep fighting the good fight for ourselves, each other, and the community. And we recover as a community, 100%. We can't do this without you either. So don't feel guilty that you need us, because we need you.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah. And yeah, if you want to get involved, reach out. We'll keep adding more to the Facebook page and YouTube and Discord and the website, and
Oh
we'll
yeah, that's right.
we'll keep adding stuff. We'll have links and stuff posted. So please, stay connected, tell your friends, and yeah, keep coming back.
Yeah, realworldrecovery.net.
Yeah,
Is that what we said on?
it is.
Perfect. All right. Yes, we will see you there. Remember, I hate to say it again, but that's how the algorithm works. Like and subscribe, please.
See you guys next week, if not before.